so that they live their lives the way they should. When you're a teenager, be a teenager. When you're an adult, that's when you'll have to be responsible. But we talked about how the outside world is always telling them to hurry and grow up. If you're 12, then act like you're 15. If you're 15, act like you're 18. And sometimes, as parents, we don't know how to tell them, no, wait, not yet. You'll have the time when you'll travel and you'll do everything independently, but not right now. You're not ready. So we have to prepare them to be independent in the future. But it takes a lot for us to tell them to hold on and wait. It takes a lot for us to tell them. It's easier to tell them, fine, start wearing your heels. Go ahead and start wearing makeup at 10 years old. If you want to put on fake nails, go ahead. Instead of telling them, wait, not yet. Because you have to talk with them, have discussions, and say, in this family, this is how we think, this is how we are, and you're not going to do it. I've given you many examples about how I've told my children, just wait, when you're ready, I'll be the first one to tell you, go ahead, you're ready now. So the discipline is something that we have to encourage in the home to create responsibility and to be able to deal with consequences. We also talked a lot about violence, domestic violence. We had the county attorneys talk to us about the consequences of domestic violence. We talked about bullying, which is related to domestic violence, what the law has to say about it, and the resources we got from the County of San Diego. If you know of somebody or if you are in a situation of abuse, you need to ask for help. Everybody has my cell phone, my contact info. If you don't want to report it, you can ask me to do it. I do it all the time because people don't like to do it themselves. We talked about alcohol and drugs, the importance of talking about this children, not just once, but every day and often. Because alcohol and drugs is easily accessible to our children. We talked about the different types of drugs and the consequences of each. We talked about marijuana, what the law says about it, all the myths of marijuana. Everyone thinks marijuana is the best thing, that it cures everything, even cancer. But it's actually a lie. Today's marijuana can make you depressive, can lead to schizophrenia, cause anxiety. So you got a lot of information about that, especially the ones who went to the conference. We talked about the dangers of the internet, about applications that can be used. We talked about grooming and why it's important to talk about grooming, why it's important who our children talk to on the internet. Today we're going to watch a video and learn about the importance of knowing who our children talk to on apps like WhatsApp and a bunch of other types of apps where our kids socialize. These applications can be on all devices to be able to protect our children from bad people who are just out there to hurt them. And it's also to try to prevent addictions like pornography and video games. It's really important that as parents that we have control. We talked about cell phones. What age is best to give them a cell phone? and on what conditions to give them. To let them borrow a cell phone, because you don't give a cell phone to a child, you let them borrow it. And there'll be limits, and I'm allowed to check it, and they need to know that you really will check on them. We also talked about mental health. It's important to know about emotional intelligence. How do I help my children develop emotional intelligence? One's not born knowing, being intelligent about emotions. It's something you develop, and it's developed based on the people who surround you. So if you live in a toxic family where there's violence and abuse, they don't motivate you, then you'll have low self-esteem. Emotionally, you won't be well. We had Neurotics Anonymous who came and talked about different neuroses and how not to pass them on to our children, because many of us will have so much baggage with us, and then we just hand it to our children. Like, you're the next generation, here you go. Instead of telling them, no, I don't want you to inherit my problems. I will leave this baggage in therapy and counseling because I don't want to carry it anymore. It's not fair. It could be a stem from grief, abuse, any type of thing, and it causes us anxiety, and unfortunately, it's our children who end up paying for this. So mental health, now more than ever, we've seen a lot of young kids try to commit suicide. We have a very elevated number of children trying to take their lives. It's important to always maintain contact, have individual relationships with our children one on one, to know what's going on in their minds and their hearts. It's super important. And if you've never done it, then start. It's never too late to start developing that friendship, that relationship with your children. If you take anything away from that, it's that it's important to improve our relationship with our children. Because when parents call me and I ask them, well, who's their friend? Who are their friends? You know, I don't know. I've seen them from far away, but well, what does your child like to do? I was like, you know what? I don't know. I've never asked them. What do you mean? They're already 14. How do you not know what they like, what their goals are? So imagine when they don't have that connection with the parents and they start looking for it out there. When something I'm going to start including in future workshops is to talk about gangs, because gang action has started to increase in North County. It had calmed down a little bit, but a lot of veterans have been released and they're entering the communities again. So we need to be really careful that they don't start finding children that are alone, and always be there for our kids. Because many parents don't know what the signs of joining a gang are. Like, they don't know, like, if my child's probably looking to join a gang. These 7 topics, I think, were thorough. I brought guests to give testimonies so that they could share resources. And today I'd like to close this last workshop with a video. Many people here may have already seen it, but this video is very shocking. It really opens your eyes as a mom or as a dad. I don't wish this on anyone. The video will be in English, but it'll have Spanish subtitles. Once the video is over, one of the persons on the video, Jaime Puerta, will give us the testimony after the video. Before watching it, are there any questions? Nobody wants to say anything? No? Okay. So a reminder again, just if you haven't done so already, please complete the survey. The County of San Diego are the ones who need this information, whether this program works or not. So please just click on the link. It's a very simple survey. You can complete it really quickly. Here's a video, and then I'll present our special guest.
Ok, ay, perdón, es que no podía ponerlo. Gracias, Jorgito, mi hijo Jorge me ayudó. ¿Ya lo pueden ver? ¿Se puede ver? Giovanni. ¿Sí?
Sí,
Ok.
sí se mira.
Sí.
Sí se mira.
Ok, entonces vamos a verlo, ¿ok? Dígame si se oye.
Sí se oye.
Ok.
You don't even know what you want. I'm done.
Look at me when I talk to you. You sit there and tell me.
Unresponsive at this time. ETA about 2 minutes. Anything further?
My name is Dominic Tierno. Since I graduated high school in 2014, I've had the great honor of directing a number of documentary films about drugs and drug addiction. Our mission is to revolutionize drug education by telling real-life stories that motivate young people to make one of the most important decisions of their life, and that's the decision to not use drugs. 2020 was the worst year for drug overdose deaths that we have ever seen. In the beginning of summer in 2020, I came across this article. A 14-year-old kid from a town I grew up in had died from what appeared to be a drug overdose. He's a smart, funny guy who, like many kids, was struggling with some anxiety issues and decided that he would turn to drugs to see if he could help himself with that. What happened was he went and bought this pill, this Oxycontin pill, from a guy he had known because he thought that pill might ease the pain of what he was going through mentally. Well, he didn't know it, but that Oxycontin pill wasn't a real Oxycontin pill. It was a fake pill. It looked just like the pill that he wanted to try, but instead of Oxycontin, it was made with fentanyl, a synthetic opioid known to be 50 to 100 times the strength of morphine. That one pill he took that night killed him almost instantly, and his mom found him dead in his bedroom the next morning. Before I can even finish that article, I'm scrolling through and I see another linked article. Not far away, around the same time, another 14-year-old dead from fentanyl. So then I go back to Google and I type in fentanyl deaths. I hit search, and then it all made sense. I saw another kid, and I saw high school students, college students, young adults, all recent, all over the country, all dead from fentanyl. And so I'm looking at that and I'm saying, these aren't just normal overdose deaths. These people think they're taking one drug and turns out they're being killed. Why have we not heard about this?
It's a drug 50 times more potent than heroin, and doctors say just touching it can send you to the emergency room. We're talking about the synthetic opioid fentanyl.
The first time I heard about fentanyl was my sister busting in my house being like, don't touch anything in his room, it's fentanyl. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I have no idea what's going on right now. So most people haven't heard of this because we haven't been talking about it. Back in 2013, when it first started showing up, only about 3% of drug users were dying from it. Now we're looking at over 50% of drug deaths being attributed to fentanyl. If Alexander could have got a lesson, I wish he knew about fentanyl. I wish he understood that fentanyl poisoning is real and that every time you try something, you're playing with your life. It is pill roulette every time you try it. As a mom of a kid that was just trying to experiment, that's where it is. As a mom of a kid that died just wanting to experiment, I wish I could just shake you and tell you and make it real for you. But I don't know how to do that. I won't be there when you're faced with these decisions. I know that if he knew the effects of his passing, it would crush him. He never intended for me to find him on his bedroom floor. He never intended for his dad to administer CPR, trying to save his life while we were waiting for the paramedics. Even his 12-year-old sister wanted to run in there and try to help do CPR, but I held her back. Alex didn't intend for me to see him wheeled away on a stretcher and put into an ambulance. Alex had no intentions of me seeing him lying on a stainless steel table covered with a sheet with only his head showing. Alex had no intentions of me knowing what it felt like to kiss his face for the last time. The images that I'm left with of that day replay in my mind on a regular basis. Please do not put your family through this. And please, 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 I beg of you, learn about fentanyl now. Don't wait until your best friend has died, or a brother or your sister. Learn about it now so you can help your friends. You can tell them, you can warn them. You can be a very important part of saving lives.
This would be how much cocaine somebody would have to ingest to kill them. This is the approximate number of prescription pills one would have to ingest to kill them. This is the amount of heroin the average person would have to ingest to kill them. Fentanyl. You're gonna have to bring that camera up here real close to see it. This much fentanyl would kill you and I if we split it. They put fentanyl in cocaine. They put fentanyl in heroin. They put fentanyl, as we already know and talked about, into counterfeit pills. It's odorless, it's tasteless, you don't know it's there. And when you find out it's there, it's too late. You won't even know it. You'll be dead. 2,500 people would be killed by that amount of fentanyl. Does that sound like a drug to you? Does that sound more like a poison? I was a police officer for 31 years, and during my time in narcotics, I'd never heard of fentanyl. In homicide, I saw many, many tragic things. I saw people that were killed by shootings, stabbings, beatings. Nothing that I saw at that particular time would have ever prepared me to see Jessica. I was at work. I got a telephone call from my wife, Cherie. She was frantic, uncontrollable, screaming into the phone about Jessica. And I knew something had happened. Jessica lived with her boyfriend, Nicholas, and a stupid decision in which they ordered and had some cocaine delivered to them, to their house, resulted in them ingesting it. And my daughter, at that particular time, became forever 29 years of age. Jessica didn't want to die. She has a beautiful daughter, Alara, who is now with Cherie and I, and we are raising. And she had everything to live for. Jessica knew about fentanyl, you know, from talking about this issue after she died with her friends. I discovered that Jessica had a friend that had even died a couple of weeks prior to her death. And Jessica had spoken to her friends about being afraid. Well, if you knew about it, why would you even risk it, sweetheart? You knew it. Why did you make that bad decision? Who knows? Those are things that you'll never answer. We're just trying to prevent it from happening to somebody else.
Dealers are using social media to show off what they've got, infiltrating feeds of ever younger teens curious about this flashy lifestyle. With more addicts and overdoses by the day, they've got drivers on demand delivering any drug to your door 24/7.
Social media app has changed the game when it comes to narcotics. Fentanyl's all over the place, and just massive amounts of it. And some of them are going to fall trap to that.
4 years ago, DEA in Arizona seized 0 fentanyl. This last year, we seized enough fentanyl to kill 70 million people. You're playing Russian roulette out there when you're taking these pills and you're buying this stuff off the street.
Social media has completely changed the landscape of the drug trade. Most people start by searching for what they think are prescription medications, and drug dealers respond saying that's what they have. But what you have to be careful about is what you're asking for and what you get can be two different things. And if you're buying the stuff from somebody online, their bottom line is they're just looking to make a quick buck. They don't have your best interest in mind. They'll tell you whatever you want to hear. Unless you're getting these drugs from your doctor or a licensed pharmacy in a bottle that has your name on it, you may as well assume these drugs are fake. You're not getting the real thing. Fentanyl's literally taken over the drug market. It's in everything. It's in meth, it's in cocaine. Obviously the counterfeit pills that are out there, we're starting to see it showing up now in marijuana. The people who make this stuff, who are putting the fentanyl and everything, they have one goal, to get you hooked. Fentanyl is highly, highly addictive. They're gonna trick you into thinking you're getting something you're not, to take you down that rabbit hole, to get you hooked on fentanyl and have you become an addict. Because to them, you're a customer and you'll be a returning customer at that point. One of those times, you're gonna get enough fentanyl to kill you. Alex was in her bedroom at night, getting ready for bed. She went on social media in search of oxycodone. It wasn't hard for her to find a drug dealer, and she had what she thought was oxycodone delivered to our house. One pill had enough fentanyl to kill 5 people. My daughter took half of this pill and died instantly. In an instant, my life was changed forever. My last memory of my daughter is of her being wheeled out on a gurney. I saw my daughter brought into this world, and I saw her leave this world. I have 4 daughters and a beautiful wife. Every time we take a family picture, I don't see who's there, I see who's missing. It's an odd feeling to looking forward to dying, because you know that's when your heart will be made whole again. Alex would have never wanted this. Don't do it to your parents.
It's the end of the world at the palm of my hand. If you can't come with me, I'll understand.
It was March 31st. That evening was one of the most special evenings we had had in a long time. I told him to come downstairs, that I wanted to hug him. I don't know why. And he came down the stairs and he hugged me and he said, "Dad, I'm so sorry for all the things that I had put you through in the past." And I said, "Don't worry about it, Daniel. You're just a kid and you're just learning, but you're going places. You got a great future coming ahead of you. I'm just so proud of you. You have no idea." All right, Dad, good night. Love you. Good night, son. I love you too. See you tomorrow morning. Next day, about 8 o'clock in the morning, when I walked into his room, he was in a lying position facing up against the headboard with his hands over his chest. And I saw his eyes. He had a little blue on top of his lips. I screamed at the very top of my lungs. Daniel. 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 I called the paramedics. They carried him down the stairs and put him on the first floor and started doing chest compressions. And then they took him to Los Angeles Children's Hospital where we were put in a waiting room. And later on that evening, a team of doctors came in. And they said, your boy is just a shell of a boy that he was before. He's not coming back. My only child. I couldn't protect them. I couldn't save his life. I couldn't save my son, Daniel. My son is gone. It wasn't supposed to be this way. He was supposed to graduate from high school this year. If you love yourself, if you respect yourself, if you love life, you have a choice. Because it is between life or death. This is no joke. You can and will die. How do I know this? I can tell you that I've met thousands upon thousands upon thousands of parents nationwide. I wish somebody had sat me down and had this talk with me about what fentanyl does to people. I didn't get that chance. You do.
You know, there's always been one main problem with the films that we make, and it's the reason why we try to keep them as real and as relatable as possible. People just so commonly think that it will not happen to them. I'm talking about great people, nice people, cool people, intelligent people with big plans for the future, big potential. Gone because of one choice they didn't know would end their life. Fentanyl is coming for anyone and everyone. So the most important message that I can give to kids, to teens, young adults, anybody, is the same old message we've heard time and time again. And that's to really get serious about not even trying a drug. You see, back when we first started, I was telling kids not to use drugs because you might get hooked, you might get addicted. Now there's not even time for that. Now it's don't try a drug because you might actually not wake up tomorrow. You might actually not get another chance. One choice is all it takes. If you don't believe that, I guarantee you, at this point, there was someone very similar to you who wished they could be here right now to look into the camera and look into your eyes and say, don't do it. Please don't do it. Please, I wish I wouldn't have done it. Don't do it. Don't risk your life. So my question for you is, are you going to listen? Or will it be your family and your friends holding your picture, wishing they could have been there to tell you?
This is my son, Alexander. He died at 14 years old from fentanyl poisoning.
This is our daughter, Jessica. She was 29 years old when she was killed by fentanyl.
This is my daughter, Alex. She was murdered at 20 years old by a drug dealer who sold her a counterfeit pill made of fentanyl.
This is my son, Daniel Joseph Puerta Johnson, killed at the age of 16 by illicit fentanyl.
This is my son.
The end of the world at the palm of my hand. And if you can't come with me, I'll understand. I'll understand.
Cada vez que, que veo este video es me
Every
hace
time I see this video, it moves me inside. I wish everyone could be in this workshop and see all the young people who are dying of this. I want us to give a big applause to Mr. Jaime Puerta, who's here with us tonight. We're going to give him an applause and thank him for giving us his time. He's a busy person with other events. And I was so happy that when I invited him, he was able to come and be here with the community of Oceanside. There's many parents here in this parenting program. Thank you for being here with us. And now I will let you give your testimony. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me again. Oceanside is a community that I have very nice memories of. I was there with the Marines from 1980 to 84. I think Oceanside has grown a lot since then. My name is Jaime Puerta. I'm the last person who gave his testimony in this video, Dead on Arrival. It's basically a documentary directed by Dominic Tierno, produced by Christine Wood. The purpose of this documentary is to show another side of what is happening in our communities today that has to do with drugs. The first thing as a parent, what you think is that when someone dies because of drugs, is that they did it to themselves, or they think to themselves, that couldn't happen to me or my family. No one in my family consumes drugs. But reality is, it can occur. And if it happened to me, it can happen to anyone. My son wasn't a drug addict. He was a teenager, 16 and a half years old. This is my son, Daniel. He was just 16 years old. As was said in the documentary, during the pandemic, I think he was bored. He was tired of what he had to do for school on the computer. and he went on a social media platform called Snapchat. It's the platform that's most used by children for their communication amongst friends. But unfortunately, that platform allows many other activities that are bad. There's men communicating with your daughters. There's also the sale of drugs. There was an article in the LA Times recently about Snapchat. There's people doing things in malls, breaking windows with hammers, and this is happening on Snapchat. So the communication between your children and those people that they're communicating with, there's different settings. They can make the conversation disappear in a minute, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 4 hours, however they want. What this platform does, and the logo for this platform is a ghost. What do ghosts do? They disappear, right? So all the communication between your children and other people disappears. Most parents don't know this. My son, along with thousands of other teenagers and parents that I've spoken to personally, their kids were not drug addicts either. They were teenagers that were curious. They have between
6 años,
12, 13, 14, 15,
después de
16.
que ya se están
No. When they're becoming young men or young women, after puberty, you could say. Is that how you say it? So they want to expand their knowledge. They want to know what other kids are doing. They want to experiment with marijuana, with pills. And what they don't know is that with pills, all the pills that are being sold over these social media platforms, they're all false counterfeit pills made by criminal organizations in the United States and other countries south of here. There's a DEA administrator, Ann Milgram, who came out in a conference, and it was very impactful because from May 2020 to April 2021, there's 300,000 deaths, the highest number that has been seen. 64%, 64,000 deaths were all attributed to fentanyl. What most people don't know about this is that in that 64,000, most are young people under the age of 18 years old. They don't know. They think that they're taking a pill when it's actually a counterfeit pill made exactly like a real pill. It's really difficult to know or see the difference between a real pill and a counterfeit pill. They take it, and if it's one of those pills that has more than 2 milligrams of fentanyl and 4 or 5 grams of salt, they die. And they die. And they die as my son Daniel died. I found him dead. I don't know what to say. He was my only son. It destroyed my family. It's something that a lot of people really don't know about. And you might say that might happen in my family. No one in my family takes drugs. But that's part of the problem, because the stigma of addiction and overdose, unconsciously we think, as I repeat again, that can't happen in my family.
Eso es falso. Eso es lo que está
That's
pasando.
false. That's what is happening in the United States nowadays. And it's a
Estamos sabiendo, ya
phenomenon
saben,
happening in the US and Canada.
Sudamérica, especialmente México.
It's
Pero
also happening in South America and Mexico.
De los afganos, pero el fentanilo es un opioide sintético, es muy barato, tan barato que ha reemplazado la heroína.
And this is so cheap that it's replacing heroin. But it's not only killing those people that are addicted to drugs, it's killing all of these kids. There's a lot of questions like, why would cartels want to kill kids and so many people? It's not that they want to kill them. It's just that there's no quality control. They just make these pills, use a machine. It's like a machine that makes chocolate chip cookies. Some are going to have 2 chips and some are going to have 6 chocolate chips. So if the pill has more than 2 milligrams or more, it will kill them. So my message for families and parents is, do not be afraid to talk to your kids about this. First of all, you need to have a really, really deep conversation. Secondly, if your kids have cell phones, don't forget that you're the ones paying the bills. You're paying for that cell phone. And you have the right to see what are they doing.
Prestar el teléfono o no les quiere dar la
If
clave.
they don't want to give you their phone, then you will see what you're going to do. Or they at least have their phone in a shared account like iCloud, where you can also see what they're doing. And check their phone daily. The phone is a great instrument for communication, to be able to learn. It's like having an encyclopedia in your hand. For anything that you need to know, you can look for it here. But unfortunately, there's really evil people, criminals, that have taken advantage of the platforms of these social medias.
Haciendo de las suyas y hay muchos niños y niñas que
And
están cayendo.
they're doing what they do, and a lot of kids are falling into this with fentanyl. If you have any questions, please. Something and part of this program is that we have a workshop on the control of technology, at what age to give the kids a cell phone, not just give it to them, but say, I am lending this to you. This has limits, rules, schedules. If you put a password or a code, I'm going to take it away from you. I'm going to be checking it, and it doesn't go in the bedroom. The phone doesn't go in the bedroom. At nighttime, we're going to put it here in this basket because, as you say, this is a computer. And this computer comes with many risks. So we need to have control, us as parents, of the technology, not our kids. I know a lot of people are listening here who already gave their kids a phone, and they say, well, what do I do? My son already has a phone. He's 16, and if I take it away, he's going to be laughing. But what happens if he laughs? You need to tell your kids, I'm learning in these workshops, and this is what I'm going to do. I also talked about what you said, that in Snapchat, they can meet people that You have no idea of all the risks that can be found. Yes. Chat has a way that it works. The platform itself. It has this mode that a complete stranger can talk to your son or daughter. And not just that, but they can know exactly where they are in the house. This is called geographical pinpointing through GPS, which is part of the same Snapchat platform. They can know who your children are, where they live, what time they come and go from the house. If someone is interested in your son or daughter, I'm not trying to scare you. No, yes, scare them. Scare them a lot. I want them to get scared. I'm saying it from what I have investigated when this happened to my son. It's a reality. This is a reality. Prostitution, child abuse, drug addiction, sale of drugs, sale of pornography. All of this happens on social media, all of it. And you have to remember something. The market that prefers Snapchat. So the people that have most influence are kids between 13 and 18 years old. If you ask a young person, what's your favorite platform? They're all going to tell you Snapchat. It's that simple. Why? Because like I told you, all the things that it has, the conversations disappear. All the conversations can disappear. You don't know what they're doing or saying. They coordinate things. That platform is no good. And our children shouldn't have it. Well, they're going to say, Mom, Dad, but everyone has it. Well, everyone can have it except for you. Do what you want when you're 18. But if I'm paying for that phone, you're prohibited to have this thing. There's a lot of applications. We talked a lot when we talked about technology, is that who are you following on Snapchat? Because there can be different artists, athletes, a lot of people, right? So sometimes the people that they follow put things that are really inappropriate. So you say, how is it possible that they're posting these things? Why? To get attention, to get more followers, to make more money. Because with more followers, the more money that they make. So if I put these crazy things on Snapchat, more people are going to see me and more people will follow me. And I'll make more money. So we have to check their cell phones. Put these applications to block these things. There's violence, pornography. And these are things that can affect them, especially if they're young children. So be really careful with the young kids. I don't know if there's any questions or comments for Mr. Puerta. We have people here present. You can ask verbally or in the chat.
¿Alguien quiere hablar o decir algo?
Would anyone like to speak or ask anything?
Yo le tengo una pregunta. Usted cuando...
I have a question. When your son was young, did you attend any workshops like this that talked about drugs? Like, did Mr. Puerta say, hey, Dr. Villarreal is going to talk about drugs? Did you ever attend anything like that? My son came to live with me when he was 5 years old. So we had some money to put down on a house in Santa Clarita. My wife wanted him to have a stable place to live. As a single dad, working a lot, I didn't have time, first of all. But to be honest, I didn't really know there were programs like yours, doctor. I would have thought, and I would have started everything all over again to be a better parent and know what was happening in my community. I would have been the first one to sign up for these classes of yours. But we need to multiply you and put you in every county, in every school. I don't know how you're going to do it. I think it's so important.
Creo que los pocos talleres que hay que
And with the
ofrecen
few workshops that there are, if you think they're boring, they can be good, but they can be something that's maybe translated from English to Spanish that might not have the same idea of our culture. We're living in a different country for many of us. It's a different world. And we need to take that into consideration. It's really important. I'm asked here if you could put the link in the chat of your organization so that we can follow you and look you up online. Yes, I'm putting it here. Our organization is called Void, Victims of Illicit Drugs. In our homepage, you'll see it. We just uploaded a video of a teenager who wanted to work with our organization. He's a rapper that was addicted to drugs. His older brother lost his life because of fentanyl. And he wanted to help with his video. Please don't watch that video. Look at the one on the right. That's the documentary, Dead on Arrival. I want to show this video at the schools where I work, all the schools in San Diego. I think with the district attorney, we're planning in January or February, we're planning a conference. Obviously, you could be our guest speaker. You could be the main one. I would be happy to be there with you with that. Yes, of course. Yes, I would like the people. I think this topic, I bet you the people here have heard of fentanyl when they've heard of some drugs. But I know a lot of people are in shock. It's a really great lesson for everyone. Miss Deb here, she's one of the administrators from the Oceanside Unified School District. She'll talk to you. She has your information. Here's Deb. This is Jaime. Jaime, this is Deb. She saw your video and she was very impressed. She was impressed. This is my email, jaime.p@stopthevoid.org. The doctor has my phone number. If anything I can help with, you can count on me. Yes, you can speak in Spanish. We're showing the documentary. We've taken it to schools. The good thing about the video is that there's not copyrights. We made it without a copyright so that people like Dr. Villarreal could share it with you and with schools without needing further permission. The DEA has also used it in their campaigns. All drugs can kill. They made a campaign about fentanyl.
Conferencia de prensa, perdón,
There was a press conference today. They spoke very strongly against fentanyl and drug cartels. And also social media, especially Snapchat. They talk to us. In April, we're going to make a campaign with them. They're showing it at schools in Minnesota. Here in California, we're showing it wherever we can. In Puerto Rico, they've communicated with us as well. And also Albuquerque, Texas.
Estamos muy contentos y felices con
We're very happy with what this documentary is doing to open the minds of people. That this is not only happening to people that are drug addicts, but it can happen to our kids that are 15, 16, 17 because they don't know what's happening when they order and take a pill. Deb is asking if you make workshops for young people, for children and teenagers. Yes, we do. I wrote. We have workshops, especially with the woman that came out in the documentary, Amy Neville. She is part of our organization. I'm the president of the organization. We're here to try to save as many lives as we can. The way we can do this is talking to parents so that they talk to their kids, especially about this tragedy. We're trying to make one 100% in Spanish. Let's cross our fingers. So we could show it in Mexico, South America, all over the place. So I hope that that can be done in the future. We have it with subtitles, but a lot of people that speak Spanish, this would be beneficial to watch in Spanish. Yes. I'm talking with someone, waiting for someone to communicate with me. I know it will be able to be done. And we'll look for the money necessary to do it. You have a foundation, as you mentioned before. And they would give you the money to do this. I can give you the information for this foundation that I know. They helped me make a video. It was made many years ago called Indoctrinated. Here in the border, as we are with San Diego and Tijuana, there's a big problem with grooming. A lot of girls and gangs are doing sex trafficking. So we made a video about this, again, how to prevent it. And it was in English. So we wrote to this foundation to have it done in Spanish. We made it in Spanish, and now it's used all over the place. It was actually really good. So I hope that could be done in the future. Either way, I will keep using it in English with the subtitles in Spanish. Because as we have said, this message needs to be spread. Go to the website, parents. Tell other people about it. I'm really proud, and it's an honor for us to have you here. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with the district here in Oceanside. With your testimony, we concluded these parents are graduating. We ended with a great message. So our parents are finishing these workshops tonight. And this is good for us to hear the message of of keeping our eyes really open for these things.
No dejen de tener esa sed de aprender, de ser
I
mejores.
know some of the parents have taken these workshops more than once. So don't stop having that thirst for learning. The parents that want to know about the latest things, they're going to be the best parents, and the best parents have the best children. So if you hear about conferences, workshops, go. Never stop learning. When you say, I don't need to go anymore, that is when you really need to go. That's when you really need help. Never say, I already know everything, because we're always going to need a lot of help. We have Miss Leti Espinosa. She's been with us many times. She's right here. Hi, Miss Leti. She's the president of everything.
Es una señora líder que siempre está muy preocupada.
She's a leader.
¿Y cuántas veces no ha tomado el taller y cuántas veces no ha estado en mis conferencias y ahí sigue
How many times?
y sigue pasando la voz de la señora Leti?
Yes, I'd just like to say, wow, Doctor, with Jaime in this video, not just me, but you left us all in shock. As Hispanics, we already know so many tragedies go on, but this opened our eyes even more that it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, bad things happen. We're always talking about gangs in the Hispanic community, but with this video, let's bring it back in the next workshop and give even more information about these testimonies, because one of those parents could have been me. It's possible that any of the parents present could give that type of testimony. We know of parents who are the perfect parent, they're even pastors, but then they end up giving these type of testimonies. We need to stop thinking that just because we're a good family that bad things won't happen to us. Every year, the doctor, you open our eyes again in new ways, and we'd really like to thank the district for making this possible for free. We don't have to go pay a counselor to provide this information to us. It's really important that we thank the principals at our schools and Ms. Deb, who allowed all this to happen. Because if we don't give thanks and we don't let everybody at the district know that this helps us, this program will go to a different school or different district and we'll no longer have it. But if we let them know how helpful this is and how much we like it, this will continue on to next year. Let's all complete the survey and be sure to add in the comments that you'd like this to continue next year. And that, yes, we'd like to have Jaime come back. I'm really excited about this. My kids are listening to this, the big ones and the little ones, and they were all shocked. It's like, wow, such young kids, and their parents had to give this type of testimony, the pain they've gone through. So I was able to tell them that's exactly what I don't want happening to you. Because in the end, you will have to make that choice. I can't make it for you.
testimonio de lo que yo estoy pasando.
And if you make bad choices, then I'll have to give a testimony like those parents did.
Reunidos semana tras semana y esperemos de que para el próximo año
We hope that next year we'll be able to all get together again.
Gracias, señora Leti. Un aplauso a la señora Leti. Me encanta la
An applause for Miss Letney. I love her because she's always involved in the district and everywhere. And I really thank her for caring about the community. And I know you're a good role model as a mother.
Sí, dígame, señor Jaime. Sí, dígame.
If it hadn't been for the fentanyl, all of these kids would be alive right now, every single one of them. If it hadn't been for the fentanyl, all of these kids would be alive today.
Yo no estoy de acuerdo que mi hijo quiso probar
I don't know. I'm not okay with the fact that my son wanted to try an experiment with pills, but I also don't think it's okay that he had to die for that. And one mistake cost him his life. One single error.
y es igual que no solamente a mi hijo, pero también al hijo de Amy, 14 años de
And it wasn't just my son, it was also Amy's son, who's only 14 years old, from Aliso Viejo here in California.
¿sí? Es impresionante.
It's incredible.
Y es muy, muy triste. Entonces,
It's very, very sad.
no es que los muchachos estén buscando morir.
So I say again, they're not looking to die.
Como dijo hoy la directora de la DEA, hay suficiente fentanilo en este país para matar a cada ser.
There's enough fentanyl in this country to kill every single person.
Hay suficiente fentanilo para matarlos todos.
There's enough to kill all of us times 7.
Póngase a pensar, pero es que son
Stop and think about that.
que se necesitan ser personas, no humanos. Pueden cerrar la frontera.
They can close the borders,
En los Estados Unidos aún suficiente fentanilo para los siguientes.
but in the United States, there's already plenty of fentanyl to kill each and every one of us.
Una de las cosas que te acuerdan que hablamos mucho cuando están los jóvenes tomando.
One of the things we talked about when they go binge drinking, when they're drunk, and they give them a fentanyl taste pill, they won't stop and think, oh no, I probably shouldn't, because it probably is laced. They're not going to make those kinds of decisions. So that's why we need to talk to them about this. If you're drunk and they offer you pills, you're not going to stop and think, should I take this? Is it safe? You're not, because you're drunk. You're just going to take it. And that's why you need to talk about this with your children. When you lose control of yourself, there are evil people who will take advantage of the fact that you're drunk and have you take these pills. So remind them to always be careful, to not lose control. Be careful who they're drinking with, who's giving you these drinks. This is how these mistakes happen. They don't stop and think this might be the last time they take a breath. When you take fentanyl, if they don't help you right then and there, you die. Is it true? They have to spray them in nasal spray? They also have car fentanyl. Fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine, and now they have car fentanyl, which is 1,000 times worse than fentanyl. And that Narcan won't work against car fentanyl. They try to give that to my son, and it had no effect. It does have to be immediate. One of the first effects, side effects, is they'll start snoring really loudly. And what happens is that the respiratory system is shutting down. So that's one of the first symptoms, side effects. They don't suffer, but Narcan, they'll have it on the universities. So they're starting to have it in high schools. And can save a child as long as they get there on time. Remember, if the brain stops receiving oxygen for 3 minutes or more, the brain starts dying, and then there's a chain reaction, and then there's nothing that can be done. And that's what happened to my son. I don't know if you know about a case about a police officer who took some luggage full of drugs. His partner was recording. They opened the luggage, and there are a lot of drugs. So they put on gloves, and they open one of those luggages. And what I imagine happened is it went up in the air, and he breathed it in, and he immediately starts having an effect. So the partner immediately goes to get the nasal spray that they had there. So he gave him the spray, and the ambulance came, but I think he was okay, but in just 1 second he accidentally inhaled it, and he could have died. Yeah, it's a poison. That's Milgram has said this is an existing danger going on in our streets right now. So this is my gift for graduating today. This information that can help you prevent and save many lives. I don't know if there might be some comments or questions from Mr. Huerta. I think everyone's in shock, and I think that's why no one's commenting. Well, I'd like to thank.
Yo escuché el testimonio del señor Jaime. Pues es bien triste.
Yeah, I heard Mr. Jaime's testimony. It's really sad, especially as a parent. What I wanted to comment
Que se perdió un hijo por las drogas y uno nunca sabe que hay drogas tan malas.
is that losing a child because of the drugs seems really hard. I was reading a book about drugs, and what I understood is that drugs are depressants.
Esas cosas son malas y que no las deben tocar ni buscar porque van a
In the book, they said that they shouldn't pick up those drugs because they will certainly find death.
dice que habla con la aldea, algo así entendí. Con la DEA. Con la DEA. Que es gente que trabaja como México.
So Jaime mentioned that he talks to the DEA.
Entonces, mi comentario es de que
And my comment is,
a la gente que esos depresivos son malos,
if they explain to the public these depressants are bad,
lo van a dejar de buscar.
I feel like if they explain it, then children and adults will leave these drugs alone. The DA came out with a program that says one pill can kill. It was about 18-minute conference. They talked about fentanyl, about the criminal organizations that are making it, and how it's getting into the United States. It's not only in powder, but also in altered pills, and how social media is propagating this throughout our communities. We have a generation of children who have been raised on taking pills. If we had a kid that was too hyper, no. I imagine there are kids who do need pills, but I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but they'll give them Xanax, Ritalin, Adderall. Kids, college kids will take Adderall so that they can stay up all night studying because they need to pass exams. What I'm trying to say is, Ms. Hasmin, we have a generation of kids who look at pills like they're magic. They think they can find any remedy in a pill, and that's why they're not scared to take pills. They have family members with back pain and they're taking oxycodone or oxycontin. They'll take those pills from the bathroom and share them with their kids, and then they like how they felt. So then they go on the web trying to get more of that, but they don't realize that they're laced. I say again, I'm not okay with the fact that he was trying to experiment, but he didn't deserve to die because of that. I've committed mistakes in my life, but I'm still alive and kicking. These kids, unfortunately, shouldn't have the possibility to even try these drugs because the fact is they can die. So they're toxic depressants. Synthetic fentanyl. First of all, fentanyl does have a medical use. It's used in hospitals, and it's used for people who are in the last days of cancer. It takes away the pain from whatever cancer they have, or when there's been terrible accidents and the pain is so bad that the only way to control it is with fentanyl. But the fentanyl that's killing these kids is not the kind that they're getting from a hospital or a pharmacy. People will use fentanyl patches to control chronic pain. The fentanyl I'm talking about is fabricated illegally from random chemicals. That fentanyl has no use in the medical community. The only thing it's good for is that it's 50 times more potent than morphine. There are people who are addicted to fentanyl and haven't died, but that's because their body's already used to it and they consume it. But for a 12, 13, 14-year-old who's never consumed drugs, what chance do they have to survive something like that?
Estaba viendo un documental sobre cómo la gente que cultiva ilegalmente la amapola
I was watching a documentary about the people who make heroin using poppies. So they show how they take the flower and make the heroin. So now it's gotten to the point where heroin's no longer heroin is no longer good business. And now now they're starting to make fentanyl and the pills. I watched a documentary on Amazon that's talking about how the migrant workers in Mexico, Guerrero, they no longer can even sell they can't sell what they've cultivated because the cartels aren't interested in making heroin anymore. It's no longer good business because all you need to make fentanyl, AAN4P, it's one of the things they need. They make they mix it all together in a lab and it's ready.
La mano de obra es mucho menos porque es un químico.
The labor is a lot less, takes a lot less work to make fentanyl. It only takes one person. You don't need anybody to be picking the plant they use to make heroin anymore. It only takes one person. Somebody crossing with just a little bit of fentanyl can make 300-400 pills. So we gotta keep our eyes open, be careful of the social medias they use. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but no, I tell them.
Así es. Yo sí les digo, chéquenle hasta la operación del apéndice, todo, chéquenle todo, todo.
I tell them, check everything. Check all that. We have to be parents that are nosy. We have to know who our kids talk to, who their friends are, who they're contacting on social media. All of that is important. And if they get mad, oh well, they can get mad. We can prevent many problems, so many things. This is one of them. So I really want to thank you, Mr. Puerta, again. Thank you so much for teaching us, for sharing your testimony with us.
Chance a la gente si tiene algo que hablar o les
This
quiere
is the last chance for the families here. If you'd like to ask a question.
Sí, señor Pulido, dígame.
Yes, Mr. Pulido. I would like to give a thank you to Mr. Jaime for what he shared right now. This is a gift for us. We learned. I didn't know anything about this, about fentanyl and how bad it is. I would like that if Mr. Jaime is not with us in Zoom, that you would keep sharing this message so that we can hear about what this does. This is excellent. Thank you, Mr. Jaime. I really, from my heart, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for that. It's not easy for me. I won't lie. I fill myself with emotion thinking about my son. It brings me a lot of sadness. But my only mission, as I told Dr. Villarreal when I met her, I'm trying to save as many lives as I can. And I can do it with this message. I know that I'm fulfilling my mission in this life. And I'm just one person. There's many families, many parents, so many. And thank God Dr. Villarreal found me. Yeah, I'm so happy. Yes. It's so good. She can count on me as many times as she needs. I will become, I'll be here as much as I can. Thank you for those messages that fill me. Thank you. Let's give him a virtual applause. Thank you for your work. You're changing lives. You're saving lives. We're going to spread this word and we're going to, as far as my work, the first time I saw this video and I contacted you, you're going to say, who's this person from San Diego? But I asked if I could get it in Spanish and you wrote back to me and I was surprised. Then I got to speak to Mr. Puerta. And I wanted to spread the word. And I love this work of sharing this and saving lives. Again, thank you, Mr. Puerta. Thank you to all the parents who were here. Thank you for those of you that are attending. Thank you, Mr. Deb. Miss Deb, excuse me, she said Miss Deb. Thank you to those from AmeriCorps. If you already did the evaluation of this program, thank you. If you haven't, please just take a few minutes. It's fast. It would just take you a few minutes. If you already did it, you don't have to do it again. But please take a few minutes to answer those questions. The County Office of Education asks for these surveys so that they can see if you really like this program, what would you like to see in the future. Also, I would like to give you and comment to all of you. I would like to wish you all a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. May you have many blessings and peace. And that our goal is always to be better parents, better families. And let's stay in contact. We're going to be on vacation coming up soon, but you all have my cell phone. You know how to contact me. And I'm here to serve the community. Okay? We had intense weeks. And we ended with an intense workshop. But it was worth it to watch this video. Thank you to all of you. Thank you, Deb, for everything. Thank you very much. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Diane. Thank you for your support. Thank you, Mr. Puerta, again, for being here. And have a nice end of the year. I like seeing your faces here. To all of you that are here, thank you. I hope to see you soon here in Oceanside. I will be giving my workshops in other schools and school districts. You can follow me. You can always participate. And keep up with me. Thank you. Good evening. Hugs to all of you. Again, another applause for Mr. Puerta. Thank you. Good night. Good night, Miss Letty.
Thank you again. Good night.
Buenas noches, gracias.
Feliz Navidad.
Año
Buenas
Nuevo.
noches.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.